SHG-Bank Linkage has not done so well, which we wanted it to be.
Anything which is successful is likely to be scaled up, and when it's scaled up without enough investment in capacity building, is likely to become target oriented and top down approach. So managing this balance, and especially when it became target oriented, the quality deteriorated a lot.
नया नया ग्रुप बन गया और वो बैंकन में जोड़ लिया है, तो उन्हें नॉलेज ही नहीं है कि कैसे ऋण चुकाना चाहिए, कैसे बचत करना चाहिए। उन्हें तो पैसा से काम, और बैंक वाला ने ग्रुप देना से काम, पैसा देना से काम। पैसा देना से क्यों काम रहे कि उन पे मार्च का महीना में टारगेट आए ऊपर से, जब धड़ाधड़ हुए एक सम्मेलन कर दिए, उनमें छोटा मोटा कच्चा पक्का हुए बना लिए ग्रुप। बढ़ जाए ग्रुप, कोई आंगनवाड़ी को बन गो, कोई कंपनी वाला को बन गो, ऐसे ग्रुप में धड़ाधड़ बैंक लोन दे दिए, और फिर वहाँ के बाद में जब दिक्कत आए, जो हमारा अच्छा ग्रुप है उनमें भी अडक करे।
एखादी निवडणूक आली का त्या काळामध्ये किंवा सरकार सुद्धा त्या पद्धतीने विचार करतं का ग्रामसेवकाला गट करा, तुम्ही गट केल्याशिवाय तुम्हाला मानधन पगार मिळणार नाही, मास्तरांना तसंच, म्हणजे अशी वेगवेगळ्या लोकांना शासकीय नोकरदारांना गट करायला सांगतात। मग त्यांनी काय आपलं 10 बाया पकडायच्या आणि केला गट, 2 अध्यक्ष सचिव, त्यांचं बँकेत खातं उघडलं का झालं, मीटिंग घ्या नाही तर घेऊ नका।
Many of the SHG borrowers, many of the groups, they are getting over indebted. They are getting multiple credits, and sometimes it goes into consumption. And when again you provide credit at a very cheap rate, always there is an tendency or say lure for on lending that money to some other uses. So this is a moral hazard. So this multiple borrowing, or say more lenders chasing the same group of borrowers, it definitely affects the SHG movement as such.
Along with these, there are other issues as well, which affect the growth and quality of the program.
బ్యాంక్ లోన్లు వచ్చి ఫస్ట్లో 10,000 చొప్పున తీసుకున్నాము. అట్లా ఇది 4వ సంవత్సరం ఇది తీసుకోబట్టి. ఫస్ట్లో 10,000, మళ్ళీ ₹1,00,000, మళ్ళీ 2,50,000, మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు 4,50,000. 4,50,000 తీసుకొని వాళ్ళకి తిరిగి అప్పు చెల్లించేసినాము బ్యాంకులో. ఇప్పుడు 5వ విడత లోన్ తీసుకోవాలనుకున్నప్పటి నుంచి ఒక 100 సార్లు అంటే తిరిగింటాం మేడం. 100 సార్లు తిరిగింటాం బ్యాంకు దగ్గరికి, లోన్లు ఇవ్వటం లేదు ఇక్కడ. బ్యాంకు దగ్గర రైతులు ధర్నా చేసినాము. ఒక 100 సార్లు బ్యాంక్ చుట్టూ తిరిగి బ్యాంక్ మేనేజర్ని కూడా అడిగి ఇప్పుడు విసుగు పుట్టి బ్యాంక్ మేనేజర్ని కూడా అడగటం లేదు. ఇప్పుడు మా దగ్గర బంగారు ఉంటుంది కదా, ఆ బంగారు తాకట్టు పెట్టి మళ్ళీ 100కి ₹5 చొప్పున డబ్బులు తీసుకొచ్చుకొని మా అవసరాలు గడుపుకుంటున్నాం.
हर सदस्य का पहचान पत्र 2 पहचान पत्र मांगता है और एक फ़ोटो। यदि कोई दीदी का है नहीं पहचान पत्र, तो उसके यदि एक ठो पहचान पत्र है तो मुखिया के पास जाकर के साइन करवाना पड़ता है, उससे लिखित मांगना पड़ता है, फिर जाके जमा करना पड़ता है, फिर भी नहीं हो पाता है। थोड़ा सा भी कहीं कुछ हुआ तो बहुत दिक्कत। तो क्या होता है, खेतीबाड़ी के समय में जब करियर प्लानिंग करती कि हम खेतीबाड़ी करेंगे इससे लोन लेकर के, तो सही समय पर लोन नहीं मिल पाता है, 2-3 महीना लग जाता है। इसके चलते महिलाएं बहुत खिसिया जाती हैं, गुस्सा हो जाती हैं कि अब बैंक से हम लोन लेंगे नहीं, बहुत दिक्कत होती है। और क्या होता है कि मैनेजर जब भी जैसे नया मैनेजर आते हैं, बैंक में बदली होते हैं, उसमें अपना नया कानून बताते हैं कि ये नहीं है वो नहीं है।
So there are malpractices setting in, and the whole issue of government's interest with providing low cost loans to the groups is coming in the way of good practices of bank linkage. Earlier it was demand based, but today when the government says, look, I give you subsidy, I give you 3% rate of interest or 0% rate of interest, the group views it as a benefit which should reach every member. It is not seen as a bank loan which is repayable based on my requirement.
The interest subsidy is also very critical for the poor, because I have seen people, once they access low interest loans, are now ready to spend on education, are ready to spend on their own health. Low interest loans enable the poor wider choices, not just the immediate requirements.
The real challenge into the future, in my opinion, is how do you ensure government participation without that becoming an interference in the affairs of the self-help groups, to ensure that these self-help groups are truly autonomous, member-owned, member-managed and member-controlled.
The question then is, how can the outreach be maximized without compromising on quality?
बैंक को ये करना चाहिए, हमने अर्जी लगा दी और खाता खोल दियो, है ना, फाइल पहुंच गई, वह के बाद में ग्रुप वह मैनेजर को खुद को जाना चाहिए ग्रुप में, ग्रुप की ऑडिट देखे, ग्रुप की हाजिरी रिकवरी देखे, ग्रुप की बैठक देखे, कैसे ग्रुप में बैठ रही है, कैसे इनकी हाजिरी रिकवरी है, कैसे इन्हें सहमति बना रखी है, उनको काम देखे और उनका पैसा देखे कितना पैसा है, ऐसा देखना चाहिए.
అదే మా కోడాండ్లు వస్తే వాళ్ళకు 6 నెలలు తెలుసుకోమని ట్రైనింగ్లు ఇస్తాము. అదే మారుతూ ఉంటారు బ్యాంక్ మేనేజర్లు, అప్పుడు వాళ్ళు వచ్చినా కూడాను వాళ్ళకు ట్రైనింగ్లు ఇవ్వమని చెప్తాం.
A continuous and ongoing capacity building for the self-help groups across the country is very important. Second, that the need to focus on savings. While there is already a product called mandatory savings, every member saves the same amount in the self-help group. I think a time has come for us to have other voluntary savings for the members to save in their self-help groups, or even purpose-based savings, savings for health, savings for education, savings for the marriage of the children. Savings will enhance the members' ownership in the self-help group and will contribute to improved governance and eventually the sustainability of the self-help group. So I think savings requires significant importance.
Some of the experiences in some parts of the country, like cash credit limit to a self-help group, that appears to be working very well. So perhaps we need to really see whether we can make it as a universal entitlement to every self-help group to have a cash credit limit, and then any member can access any amount of loan within the cash credit limit. What is equally important is not only to provide access to credit, to also facilitate the SHGs to make use of the credit, to expand their livelihoods, to enhance their incomes, to deepen their livelihood asset base is important. Then only they will be able to really repay. So some of these elements have to be put in place. Then only this SHG-Bank Linkage program can be further sustained.
I believe that banks should take a closer look at this model, not only in terms of what they are contributing to the society, but for their own bottom line. So if it is seen as a business model rather than as a charity model or imposition from the government, so this is the major requirement.
If poverty alleviation is our goal and SHG is the vehicle, so in that case we should know that what do poor want. My experience is that they want work, they want productive work, continuous regular work, work that is closely related to nature, your surroundings. So that will be sustainable to the local situation, to the local nature, to the local people, and the money will move locally. I think that is the purpose of the SHGs. That how to link them with the market infrastructure, how to link them with the access to raw material, and then make the most productive use of the local economy.
The federation model, the federation bank linkage model, is also another model which needs to be tested adequately. Our experience shows that is one of the ways in which sustainable federations can be built up, irrespective whether a project or a program supports it afterwards. So a sustainable mechanism for that. Only I think one of the issues there is the legal framework, appropriate legal framework which is required for federations.
I think this country is really ready for SHG too, but it has to be built, I wouldn't say on the federation system as a whole. I would first of all say on the village organizations, as CBOs, as community-based organizations, which will eventually grow into village banks, whatever their legal status is going to be. Whether this is also given some kind of a banking status that will depend on the Reserve Bank, Let that come, let that evolve. We're talking about a process that is going to take place over the next 20 years, actually. There is no rush, actually, but the time has come to move forward. In that respect, there is rush, yes, but it will take time for this all to evolve, and we will see where it ends up if it is given the opportunity.
Regulations need to change. Basically, why not SHG banks? There are many SHG federations who are also talking with us. They're saying that so much of money, so much of savings we have mobilized, which is going to a bank where decision making is of somebody else's. So why not a regulation where you can also start small banks in district wise, maybe 3 districts, 4 districts, 5 districts, bank of SHG members.
So my guess is that somewhere we now to go back to the basics of training and grooming the rural banker. That is required. Also somewhere the pressure from the top stopped. There was a time when in every budget speech the finance minister used to talk about SHGs. That became a little less and less. Today perhaps the CMD doesn't ask a branch manager how many SHGs you have financed. I think those questions have to be brought back to the system. But more than that, I think training of the rural banker is required. And we need to bring cooperatives and RRBs into the fold in a very large way.
There is no doubt that the SHG-Bank Linkage program has achieved a significant scale, contributed to improved incomes, and has created many opportunities for the poor. However, the challenge of bringing a large number of financially excluded households within its ambit still remains. At this juncture of completing 2 decades of SHG-Bank Linkage, it is time for all the stakeholders to come together and evolve a unified vision and strategy to provide need-based financial services to all the unreached households in India.